gonna buy you a pair of these Crocs.
Wow.
How about that, huh?
Why would you disrespect me like that?
You don't want these steel-toed Crocs?
Can't say I do, Joe.
New, only worn to work for one day, got fired, could release the cash. 200 or best over 100. I love it. I love these steel-toed Crocs.
That's so good. I feel bad for him, but at the same time, he kind of deserved it.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Cup of Joe's. I'm Joe Perrin, and accompanied with me is always my best friend Joe Brown.
Hey.
And today we're gonna be talking about some nice game info, but I think we need to start off with Joe Brown's favorite. We're talking Puddlegate 2018.
Oh my God, you had to put a gate on there.
Puddlegate.
Everything gets a
2018.
gate nowadays.
I was gonna call it Spidey-gate, but I think Puddlegate is more suiting for the situation.
But Puddlegate is like misrepresenting the original issue, which is why it has to be called Puddlegate.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it fits, because it's perfect there. But yeah, so we have three topics for you today. One about the Red Dead 2 gameplay and our thoughts on it. Then this whole Spider-Man Puddlegate situation, and then a little interesting topic of how can you make a good Superman game. We'll go back and forth on that. But starting out, of course, later this week, Marvel's Spider-Man PS4 comes out on Friday. Joe and I are through the moon excited for this game.
Through the moon.
And we've been saying for weeks, it's like, wow, could there be any possible bad news ever in the history of this game? Potentially, no.
Never.
It could never happen because this game is just too perfect. And then there was a Reddit article that came out that was it was very objective. All it said was Spider-Man graphics comparison. And people went in on this. They were so stupid. Oh, why'd you buy? Like going crazy. Like you're such an idiot. Literally all the original posts, the people in the comments turned into something, but the actual post literally just compared an image from when Spider-Man is like hanging on a wall about to fight some bad guys at E3, and then that same image during its actual release. Like, so just an objective photo and a photo. And people turned into this huge thing, everyone's calling each other idiots on both sides of it, whatever. So it got me nervous just because it was finally like some negative publicity about the game. But Joe's trying to calm my nerves here in this conversation. But basically, what it is, and you can see the image, like if you go all over Reddit or like just YouTube, people have made videos on it. Is the E3 footage of him? He's hanging on a wall, about to swoop in on some goons in like on a rooftop. There's like little muddy puddles all around the floor, stuff in the background and stuff. It looks very nice. It looks very detailed. There's great lighting, shadows coming off of Spider-Man's suit. There's a lot of puddles that have like great light reflection, and you can see the bad guys' bodies reflecting. I'm trying to think of the best way of putting that, like off of the image. Like it is incredibly stylized and looks very good. And then the release photo is much simpler. Now I'm not saying worse, Joe. I'm saying it is definitely less detailed than the original image, and the puddles, where the Puddlegate, are sizably different. Like they are noticeably incredibly smaller amounts of puddles in the release footage image than on the E3 one. So that's where people started going off. And then you had like Insomniac had to come out and say, oh, like literally it was just changing puddle sizes. Don't worry, there's definitely bigger puddles in the game for you to enjoy. Like there's developers are coming out fighting people on Twitter about this. Like it was madness, Joe.
I know. I'm looking down this thread. People are complaining about the textures that are different, and I'm like, well, the one texture looks way better than the other one because I could, and that it's against what the people are saying. But whatever. Going back to what Joe Brown was talking about. Yeah, I did try to calm him down from the issue. Like, yes, there are some differences, but like if you look at the two images, what I was getting at is what I told him is it looks like maybe it was a streamer was playing the game. He might have turned up the lighting and which may have caused a difference in the suit. The puddles were apparently taken out, but I also noticed that in the released version compared to the E3 version, it is very clear that you can see further along the map, so you have a longer and wider viewing range of the map while you're playing the game. So that could have maybe done something for it. Which, to be honest, I think I would be more into seeing more of the map and knowing where I'm going than just being like, "Oh, dope! I can see my reflection in this puddle. Cool." Like to me, that's more important because I'm not watching a
Well, this looks
movie.
like a
I'm
cutscene though.
playing.
This doesn't seem like live gameplay. It seems like a cutscene.
Well, then there would be no reason to downgrade it. But there has to be a reasoning. I always like whenever I see stuff at E3, I take it with a grain of salt because I know that that's not necessarily going to be what I see when I play the game. Because due to the fact that gaming companies have higher tech than we do, and plus like I have a PlayStation 4, like probably like a second or third gen PlayStation 4. I don't have like a PS4 Pro and a 4K television. So I'm not going to get the best graphics possible.
Hmm.
Like if I was going to play this game on PC, I'd be a little bit pissed. But I'm not. And I understand that consoles can only handle so many graphics at one time because they are 5 years old at this point? Like
Yeah.
they're getting there. Like that's like being like, "Oh, what am I trying to say? Like having a car from 1999 and thinking that a piece from 2018 is going to fit in it. Like, come on. We got to be a little bit more realistic when it comes to this type of stuff. And I understand people get mad about downgrading and like being duped into buying the game, but are you really buying the game because of the visual presence that was in the game? Or are you buying the game because it has an interesting storyline that you were going to follow?
Cause
Or
it's Spider-Man. That's why I'm buying
because
it.
I didn't know that you were buying the game because of a picture. I thought you were buying the game because you wanted to play a game. And when I play a game, I usually don't pay that much attention to the graphics like unless it's like, oh look, 3D imaging, and then it's 8-bit and or 64-bit, and it's like really blocky. Then I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, what happened here?
Well, you know how
But
the internet is, and this like the like pixel culture we have in gaming right now. With like, remember back with Skyrim and the
yeah,
Xbox 360 era, like the leaf foliage and like trees and like leaf physics and stuff, where people were going crazy, like, oh man, look at all these leaves you put on that tree. Like people are people are constantly looking at that type of stuff, which I think is not as important in a video game, but I don't want to discredit what other people enjoy games for. You know what I mean? So like a market out there. It typically is on the PC though. It's just why it's confusing how people are so upset about a console release having potential downgrading in it. Um,
yeah.
because usually it's
But
the PC like, oh, 800 frames per second, bro, the greatest thing ever. It's gonna cook eggs and bacon for you in the morning. The graphics are so good. Like
yeah,
on console, people really are like, okay, well, we get it. The only thing people on console want is like 60 FPS instead of 30.
exactly,
So,
exactly.
the community director, James Stevenson, has a quote here talking about the puddle controversy. And he says, quote, I am telling you, I talked to the technical and engineering and art staff. There was no downgrade, end quote. According to Stevenson, the lighting in the screenshot is different because the developer altered the time of day, a tweak you may expect when a game is still in active production. Quote, downgrade implies we showed something not possible as a trick or reduced capabilities. Neither of those are true, end quote. So
Okay,
I'll take James at his word. I think it makes much more sense that it literally was just like lighting change, because it seems like they have a dynamic lighting system where based on you change your angle. Most of the stuff we've seen is cutscenes and and very specific gameplay bits from E3 and different events. So we really haven't had like people just like screwing around, moving their cursor, and how that affects the lighting and stuff. So I think logically this is probably just a case of the lighting has been changed, and they try. I guess maybe they thought the puddles were too much, so they downsized them a little bit.
Yeah, like
But it is a note, like even if it's not a problem, which I don't think it is a problem, it's not going to stop me obviously from running the
it's
game.
a
It
noticeable.
is
There is
still
a
a noticeable difference, and there are people out there that are like, "Oh, there's literally no difference in these shots." Blah blah blah. Like stop complaining. And it's like no, there is an actual visual difference between the two
yeah,
images.
like
The question is it a problem? And my answer is no.
yeah. There's no way that it's a problem. But we will see on Friday. Me and Joe Brown are both getting the game on Friday. Mine's getting delivered to me via the mail. Joe Brown, I think, is going to pick his up.
Yep, picking it up at
Um,
GameStop. I
y-
already ordered it in full right after they announced that collector's edition or whatever. So,
yeah. Oh, I meant to tell you this. I got fully charged for it the other day, or
oh,
like
nice.
the other morning. Like I got woken up via text message from Capital One telling me that I had a mysterious charge on my card.
So you woke up. You're like, my body is ready.
I was like, Spider-Man, come to me.
um,
But
yeah, like so. Just real quick, I'll also see this other tweet that Joe and I were going over. Somebody uh somebody replied to Insomniac Games when they just said like, oh, we just changed the puddle size. Don't worry, there's bigger puddles for you to enjoy. They showed an image side by side. Do you see this one, Joe? Um, in our Discord where it says Spider-Man is missing highlights off his costume, missing shadows underneath him. The wall has less detail. The tubing on the wall has less lighting and shading, and the buildings in the background are far more washed out. There is much more. There is much more as in color and reflections as well. So they're comparing a different image, not the one from Reddit of the E3 footage versus what the release is. So again, like there is an absolute change in visuals, but it is not a deal breaker. Like it's not like going from Fallout 4 or whatever, or like Skyrim or something on the greatest, your best 360 possible, or PS4 or whatever, and then having it downgraded to be put on the Switch so it can actually run, like Doom and different, all those Bethesda games. Like that is different. That's an actual downgrading of your assets or whatever in game to make it capable to fit on less powerful consoles, right? And that's not what this is.
yeah, exactly. This that is correct, Joe Brown. Plus,
Plus,
once again, I want to know where this image came from. Who who took this image on the right?
I do not know, but I do appreciate on one Reddit thread that I've seen where it says, puddle really is such a great word. And they're replying under it, huddle, cuddle, muddle, befuddle. That wasn't subtle. That's a proper rebuttal. Like just people going off of puddle rhymes and stuff. Like so sometimes Reddit can do some good when it's causing some problems.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's go on to our second topic of the day, which is the Red Dead Redemption 2 gameplay that Rockstar showed off earlier this month. It was like a 6-minute video. There was a narrator walking us through the town, giving us the deets. Joe, what are your overall thoughts of that video?
I'm excited. I don't play Red Dead Redemption games at all. I'm excited about it. Are you excited about it? I'm excited about it. I want to ride that horse. I want to create that bond.
I
Want
want
to create that bond?
I want to kill that deer and bring it back to town.
No, you want to bring it back to your camp and
To
then
my
bring
camp.
it back to town.
Well, no, give
I
me
want to.
some more. Obviously, we're both excited for this game. Give me more than I'm excited for it.
I'm giving you more. I want to create that bond. I want to hunt those boys. I want to play with those guns. I want to start some fights. I want to not start some fights. I want to save some people and not save some people. Like this is gonna be an interesting game. I also am very much getting tired of every game that comes out with an open world now. That it's no longer just an open world. I have an open living world now, Joe Brown. It's opened. It's living. It's doing things when you're not
It
doing it.
exists when you're not there.
Like if I turn the game off, are they still living their lives? Have we created a new world? Like, is this what happening?
Is
Like, what
this
happens when the game's
Westworld?
over? Yes.
Right? Oh my
Um.
god.
No, but it looks really well planned out. It looks very well designed. I'm excited to see story. We know that this game takes place 10 years before the first one. You do get to, I believe, encounter some of the issues that led up to the first protagonist's capture.
Hmm.
And I think you get to see one of the large fights that they talk about in it, like where they say several men were killed, 11 of them being lawmen. Like you get to, I think you get to be a part of that fight. This is a Joe Perry hot take.
Okay.
I think your character might. I think we're gonna go with the classic Red Dead formula, and I think your character's gonna die at the end.
No.
I think that's my idea.
No, I don't think you will because it's a living world, so you have to be there to see it through. You have to water it like a plant, this
You
living
have to
world.
water it, as that guy said in the video. The character, this is God's land, and I'm living in purgatory right now, or whatever. That was like the weirdest thing. Um, it
Yeah.
looks really interesting. The gun, they said that they made the guns more realistic with loading time and shooting, so that's cool. Um, I want to fight that bear.
I want to fight that bear.
I also want to know where they are, where there's alligators. Like, where are they that there's alligators?
Um so like the big takeaways for me is it seems like it it seems more GTA than Red Dead, and like I don't know how do I explain this? Like, and I think it's a good thing. It seemed like that living world quote. Like I felt like in the first Red Dead, I was not as interested as in all the side things, and that's just me personally. Like the side quests, and like I was trying to go from A to B to C to D, and I was not as invested in like doing random things like pulling cattle and roping in things and chasing out or heading down to Mexico and all that stuff. Like I was just trying to get through because I really like the characters and I like the story, so I didn't want to get sidetracked. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But GTA is like the ultimate ADHD of video games, where like you don't even care about the story because you're so busy having fun doing everything else that game offers you. And I think that's where Red Dead 2 is going towards, if you get what I'm saying. Like it
I do.
seems like you have a roaming camp, so it's not like you just have a stationary house to go back to. It goes with you as you progress through different areas of the game. Um, the combat seems definitely a lot better. Like just a lot of quality of life improvements over GTA 5. Like it seemed like there was actually more than just pressing punch. Like you had a little bit more in-depth options you could go for in a fist fight. I love that the loading is realistic. I'm sure I'm gonna hate it when I'm playing it because I'm in I'm in a gunfight. I'm like, oh god, I got load. But I like that they did that change. And there's so much physics in the game. Like when you see in one of the shots, there's a guy who gets shot, and then it takes like a second for him to actually fall off his horse and stuff because the bullet was going through. Like so, it definitely seems like the physics are fluid. How our main character he like fell through mud earlier, and like how that it like left like a body imprint in the mud of his body on it. Like so there's just a lot of things in the environment in that living world that seem very impressive to me. That are
Yeah,
maybe things that I won't notice when I'm playing it, but I'll definitely subconsciously appreciate. You know what I mean? Like I won't just I won't like if I'll be in a battle and I'm riding on my horse and one of those little details that who knows could have taken months for Rockstar to work on that little thing. Just that little thing will add extra joy subconsciously to my experience that it wouldn't have if they didn't take the time, the heart and the energy to add those minute aspects of the game.
yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, I'm very very excited for this game. The first game I didn't play a lot. Like I watched my brother play through the whole thing, and I really enjoyed the story. But like physically playing, I didn't play as much. And I like the bullet time stuff where he's like and they clip and like kills 3 guys at once. So
Yeah, that was in the first one. So yeah.
no, yeah, I know it was in the first one, but it's still cool
Oh,
in
okay.
the second
Yeah,
one.
it's still pretty cool.
Yeah. Besides that, like, it's so weird that that game comes out in October, and
Yeah. Right.
like we had official gameplay, or we had an official trailer back in May, and then there was something else over another month, and then we had this in August now, and it just seems like there has not been a lot of coverage because Rockstar doesn't even really need to promote this game because people are just gonna buy it in droves.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. I
Maybe
also feel
I'll
like that's the same thing with Fallout. Like they don't need to publish it. They don't need to
right.
publish it. They don't need to like advertise it that much because people are just gonna buy it.
Exactly. Yeah, it must be good when you get to that level as a publisher when you don't even have to market your games anymore.
Yeah, you're like Bethesda. Oh, give me that glitchy game.
um yeah, so hopefully I can 100% Spider-Man by the time Red Dead Redemption 2 comes out.
That's okay. You got a month.
I
I
got
hope you
like a
do it
month and a
too.
half.
Hope you do it, friend.
Oh god. Hold on, Joe. I got to cough. So
Cough.
you got to take over real quick as I cough.
Oh, I'm gonna Jesus take the wheel. We're gonna move on to our next topic, which is
All right, cool, I'm back.
Oh, thank God.
Don't worry. You heard me cough in the call, but it wasn't on the thing.
I'm glad that you're saying that so that our audience can know that as well.
I want them to know.
Okay, you can tell them. So, we're also going to talk about what Mr. Brown has pointed out about Superman video games and what would make for a good Superman video game. So, it looks like the basis of this article that Joe Brown had sent me is that the God of War, the director for the God of War game, Cory Borlegs or Barlogs, I don't know how to say that. Um,
Borlings.
Barlegs,
Barlog, like Balrog from Lord of the Rings, but
Bal,
flipping it. Barlog.
Barlog, um, talks about a pitch for a Superman video game. Superman. Now, I guess me and Joe Brown want to have a discussion about what would make a good Superman game.
Well, here let's go over just quickly. So it was at a PAX West panel this weekend, and he had other people on like Jared Petty and Greg Miller, and but like it was a whole panel of things, and obviously Cory Balrog is very big right now. He's so hot. He's so in, like in Zoolander. He's so hot right now because he
Hansel is so hot right now.
Cory Balrog is so hot right now because he
Yeah.
directed God of War, which is a massive hit and probably going to win every Game of the Year award if Red Dead doesn't beat it to it. So there have been rumors that Rocksteady has been working on a Superman game to follow up the Batman series, and we know Rocksteady makes very fun Batman games, Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and whatnot. So
Yeah.
somebody in the panel, and also Greg Miller is a huge Superman fan as well, who he's also on the panel. So somebody asks Cory, uh, like, has there ever been a good Superman game, and how could you make a Superman game? And he gives this very long-winded response, which I'm not going to go over the whole thing here. It's on a Game Informer article by Kyle Hilliard, so if you can go check it out on Game Informer. But he basically talks about trying to ground Superman and make him like he talks about how he loves the Smallville television show of that story, and how what he would do is story wise have him have no powers, and then he slowly gradually gets more and more powers the more he ages. So he starts off as a kid really not having a good sense of anything, and through the story you get more powers all the way till you get to that super idealized version of Superman with no flaws. And he goes up like it's a pretty long response he has here on like things that he would like to do, but they're all story related and how you can make him more relatable. So somebody in the crowd asked how like you didn't talk anything about gameplay, and so he replies, "You notice I didn't mention that part, huh? Because that's probably the hardest part of selling a Superman game on it." And so for that, that just this last point, after how would you do gameplay, he said, I would not have him flying. I think he would have his ability of speed, so you would feel like you're playing as a flash game at the beginning. And I think for me, that loop would start you out and you wouldn't be able to fight anybody. You would be taking care of things that are less sort of fisticuffs so that you start to get your feet wet. And then the first time a baddie appears, somebody who is kind of an antagonist force, you would feel just as uneasy as Superman would be. This would feel more like an origin story, like a Spider-Man 1 kind of feel, that he is just figuring this out.
Yeah,
So
that
what do
sounds like
you...
that'd be a real good way to actually do it. I don't know.
I disagree.
I'm not the biggest fan of Superman, and I think no matter how you play it, especially in movies and in video games, he's always like he's got too much.
He's OP. He's got all the buffs.
Like
DC needs to nerf him.
actually, no. Here, this is what we're gonna do. Superman game. They've the sun has been altered because everybody knows that Superman gets his superpowers from the type of sun that Earth orbits around. So maybe Lex Luthor has tweaked the sun somehow, or like something. So Superman can't have all of his abilities, but he has certain abilities, and every time you finish a mission or knock down one of these things, you get another ability back. And by the time of the end of the game and you have all your abilities, you have to fight Lex Luthor, who has somehow gained the ability to be like Superman, and then it's somewhat of a fair fight where you're flying around, throwing each other all over the place, and like doing certain things.
In the current comics, I don't know about like this exact issue, but within recent years, Lex Luthor has become a Superman. So that's actually not that far off. So that is feasible. Like I'm complimenting you, Joe, on your creativity.
Like I think that's a better idea. Like playing off of like the whole thing of like that one comic that I always see of like Batman versus Superman, and Superman throws Batman into the sun. Have you ever seen this comic where Batman gets thrown into the sun by Superman, and then after he does it, Alfred gives Superman a note that says, "Dear Superman, this is Batman. I injected like a bunch of Krypton into my body.
Oh.
So good luck." And it like changes the sun into a green sun and kills Superman, like melts Superman.
Batman would be so petty to do that though.
Yeah. But so it's just like I feel like changing and altering the sun in the game or would kind of change and alter like what powers he has and like breaking down those barriers. Like maybe Lex Luthor's kind of like collecting energy from the sun, which is the changing Superman's like ability to do things. Like maybe at first he can only like he has like partial super strength and he can only run he has like his speed and maybe X-ray vision or something. Like we break it down and like we go off of it, and every time like you can upgrade your abilities. Like maybe breaking these things can give surges of the sun's energy, which can give you powers that you've never had before. Like maybe we can expand Superman's arsenal and replace certain things that he once had with different abilities. Like instead of flying, maybe we can do like what the Hulk did in the original Hulk movie when he was neon green and just jump really far. And like these are just some stupid ideas, but like these are some ideas to go with.
They're very intelligent ideas, Joe.
Yeah, like man, get me in front of a creative team.
I was gonna say Cory should hire us if he's gonna work on the next game. But
hey Cory, what's up?
I kind of I think Clark Kent has a very compelling origin story. People are just like, oh, Superman's so unrelatable. He's just the greatest thing, blah, blah. But, like, we were all 12-year-old losers who had no friends and had no idea where we fit in the world at some point. Like, so that origin aspect is very, very compelling or interesting to me if you play on it. I do wonder how you can get a whole game aspect. Like, I think it would work story-wise, where you go, like, you can only run fast, and then you can jump far, and then you can punch hard, and then you can shoot laser beams. Like, I don't know how that would feel as a as gameplay mechanics. What I'm assuming he means by that is like how Cory did with God of War with Kratos, where he has like, I would much rather see something with that system where he has his toolkit, right? He's got his hammer, or not hammer, the axe. Thank you. And like you get upgrades to that, but you start off with your base mechanics, right? Because if Superman can't fly and he can't run any shoot laser beams or whatever, like then he's not Superman. He's not who we like and who we root for. So like if he can only just run fast, like that's not the character. But if you make him like how Cory did with Kratos, where he can throw the axe and have it come back, and he can punch, and he has his shield and he can counter with that, and then throughout the gameplay you earn enough skill points to upgrade that base set of mechanics. You get what I'm saying? To make those more powerful, so that way you feel like Superman and you feel like you're getting stronger as Superman, not like the game is holding mechanics back from you and then slowly giving it to you. If that makes sense. Am I making any sense here?
Yeah, it makes sense. But like that's what Assassin's Creed did.
With
going back.
With right, where you have a base set of mechanics and those get honed over skill.
In the beginning of the game, you have literally your entire you get at the beginning of the game, you start off with everything that you could ever possibly get in the game. You have like throwing knives, you have all this other stuff, you have all these abilities, and then you goof up something and you have all of that stuff taken away from you. Yet again, you only play with all that stuff and only know about all that stuff for like one part of the game, which is like literally right at the beginning of the game. But you get that all taken away from you, and then you have to build back up to it. You have to earn all that stuff back by completing missions and going on things and upgrading and like unlocking things. Like you have to earn
that
all
could
that
work
stuff
too.
back.
Then that'd be very, that's like an interesting thing. Like they do that in games a lot, where like look how powerful you can become. Stuff like that.
Yeah, so that's why it'd be cool. That'd be cool with like the idea that I had. Like you are Superman, but a big baddie is knocking out the sun and reducing your powers, so you need to go find these things to get your powers back.
So
and stuff like that.
Yeah, I like that idea. And then I'm gonna throw this out there. All right, I don't want people to click off the podcast because I don't. It's gonna sound terrible when we're talking about how to make a good Superman game, but I promise you, just stick with me through it. Are you ready, Joe?
Yes, I'm ready.
The idea, the concept at a base level of Superman 64 was not the worst thing ever created in human history, like everyone says it is.
Are you Joe Brown? What?
just stay with me, okay?
No. What did you just say?
That the base idea of how Superman 64 could have been was not the worst thing that's ever been created like it is now. The game.
I can't talk to you anymore. Goodbye.
Oh my God. Joe actually left the call.
Serious, Joe Brown?
Okay, well, Joe came back in the call. He had to leave, but he's back.
Oh my God.
Let me explain myself. Everybody, thank you if you still are listening. If you didn't just turn off and burn your computer after hearing that.
All right, keep talking.
So what we got was a hot pile of garbage that was just an incredible, like arguably the worst game ever. Superman 64 and E.T. hang out in the depths of video game hell as the worst games ever created. But the idea of being Superman and having to save people on a time mechanics, not float through stupid rings, but actually having objectives that were time-based, time-sensitive, I should say, I think could go for a very compelling game where it's like you have 3 minutes to get to the other side of town to save this burglar, this old lady from a burglar, and it's like, so kind of have a little bit of like Simpsons hit and run in there also.
Well, no, make it like, what do they do? Like make it like how Destiny did certain things. Like, hey, there is an event happening here, and it's only going to last for 2 minutes. You have 2 minutes to get to it, or else you can't.
Right. Exactly. So something like that too.
Like do like real crime stuff. Like, hey, there's a burglar downtown. If you don't go now, you can't help with it, and your reputation goes down, or something happens because of it. Like,
right.
Maybe the people start to turn against you while you play the game, or Like, can you imagine that? Like being able to have a karma system like in some games and have like a good and bad like ending for Superman. Like maybe you want to take Superman off the grid and you want to
Oh
make
my
him
god,
like
a
this
karma
really
system would be so cool.
like maybe you do make like maybe you like Bizarro's like the evil Superman. Maybe you become like the Bizarro instead of like being Superman. Like maybe you're just the bad guy and you can team up with Lex Luthor or you can like maybe trick him and like do all these crazy things. Like that'd be cool. Like you can make Superman how you want to make him.
Yeah.
And
Well,
you can even maybe get to a point where you can redesign his costume if you get to like a worse enough level where they're
oh,
like,
we're
"Oh, well,
definitely having customization in our game that you and I are creating right now, because we definitely have the funds and the license to do that. Uh,
and the ideas and the ability. We definitely have the
we
ability to make a
totally
game."
have the ability to create video games.
Yeah,
It's
we
how
totally
hard
do.
could it be, right?
Yo, Corey, hit us up. We'll help you make this
Yeah.
game.
So okay, so aspects of like the actual time sensitive missions from Superman 64, not the rings. Remember, like implement that with the with the Simpsons hit and run style mechanics of like you have a map, you have 3 minutes to get to that next spot to save to save the next thing, and it keeps going. And then three, have you ever played a Dynasty Warriors game?
Yes.
Okay, I've been playing ridiculous amounts of hours of Fire Emblem Warriors. Like over the last week, I probably played like 25 hours in the last week of it on my commute to work, and then when I'm waiting for the train and stuff like that. And
Okay.
there are time sensitive things within each chapter, within each map. Like you know how there's the red and blue forts, so like your good guys are the blue and the bad guys are the red forts, and you have to try to take over all the forts on each map, and then you can move on and stuff. Um,
Hmm.
so there are little subplots that come up like so for example, maybe 5 minutes into a certain chapter, they have, oh, you have a traitor or something, and one of your forts that was blue has now turned red, and so now it's like, quickly go defeat the traitor. Or subplots of like, oh, this merchant has come out to the field, escort them to the allied player's base and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I think that would work really well. Not the fort system for Superman. I don't think he would need to do that because he would just obliterate everything in the fort and it wouldn't be fun. But having it so that while you're doing the time sensitive superhero-y things of trying to save people, at the same time having subplots or sub situations that also need Superman's attention, and having that actually impact the game, your results on that level or that story, and actually impacting the story. If you decided to go to help Lois Lane or something like that instead of Lex Luthor, maybe that makes a cutscene later on in the game where Lex Luthor was more upset because his building got destroyed or something like that. Where vice versa, if you save Lex Luthor, then Lois Lane is upset that the newspaper got destroyed. Something like that. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I think we could make you have to like just like hodgepodge, combine a bunch of different mechanics, and it is absolutely 100% feasible to make a good Superman game. A lot of people disagree. They say you can't make him a compelling character. He's not fun in movies. He's not good. You just can't use him as a game. I completely disagree. Go read his comics. I think Superman he's one of my favorite superheroes, and like look how successful Smallville was. Like it launched all of these other superhero TV shows. Like, so there definitely is an
Exactly.
interest for people to play as Superman. And the only thing I don't want it to be, which if it's true that Rocksteady is making out a Superman game or making a Superman game, I don't want it to be just Arkham Asylum with Superman.
Yeah, because they're already doing that with Spider-Man.
Exactly. Well, that's not Rocksteady, but yeah, it's the same,
You know what I
concept.
mean, though. You
Yeah,
know
yeah,
what
yeah.
I mean.
Because that would worry me because it's like that would take away all believability. Because Batman can't just punch people through buildings, but Superman can. So it
Superman
has
totally can.
right. So it has to. This game has to be more about Superman saving people than it is about him beating up bad guys. Because that's
Exactly.
why people like Superman, right? He's floating through the skies. He catches Lois Lane from falling. Like, it's a bird, it's a plane. No, it's Superman. Like, they don't like him because he can punch people hard.
Exactly.
But yeah, so those are our thoughts. Cory Balrog, if you're listening, we know you're listening. As I know he definitely has the time to listen to our little podcast here. Hire us. We'd love to be on the creative team to make that next Superman game. And then if you are listening to the show still, if you didn't click off after my Superman 64 comment, let us know down below what you would want to see in a Superman game, and if it is possible to make a good Superman game. Joe, do you have anything else, or is that gonna wrap it up for us this week?
I do want to state that I almost have 600 hours played in PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. Just stating that. That's it.
That's a lot of hours.
That is.
That is. Can we convert that real quick? Let me pull up my
No, we're not doing
calculator.
this on the air.
Why not?
Fine, go for it. Tell me
Okay,
how much
I'm
time
on
it is.
Google. Hours to days calculator. All right, so 600 hours. I'm gonna let you guess. It's still a lot, but it's not as much as you would think it is.
I would think it was a month.
It
Like
is
30
less
days.
than 30 or 31 days. So keep going. It's less than that.
Okay, well, let's jump down by 10 then. I'm going to guess like 20 or 21.
It is more than 21.
25.
Yeah! Third try. You got it. 25.
25.
25 total days of your life.
Hey, you want to know what's funnier than 24?
I think that's a good thing. God, I hate you.
25.
25. Oh my God, so many SpongeBob references. Oh man, I love it. I love SpongeBob. I was watching SpongeBob yesterday actually, and it was a newer episode, and I could
Was
tell
it good?
because like the graphics were really good, and it was very awkward seeing like super high def SpongeBob. No,
Yeah.
it was literally an entire episode dedicated to the My Leg guy.
That's awesome. That's amazing. I need
Like,
to see that episode.
his name was like Fred or something. I can't remember what his
Yeah.
name was.
His name is Fred. You can actually find his like credits in all the other episodes.
Yeah, so that was what the whole episode, and it was based around the doctor told him like he can't just keep breaking his leg, and he was trying to not break it, but like every character kept screaming "my leg" every time, where it was like, oh, SpongeBob was like, "Hey Fred, sorry I hurt your leg," and I'm like,
That's
oh
awesome.
my God, so it was kind of annoying, but it was an interesting concept. But it was way too pretty. Like that's just not how I remember SpongeBob. Like the graphics were really good, and it was unsettling.
Yeah. There was one clip that I saw from a newer SpongeBob episode. It was like, you say what you will about SpongeBob, it's still pretty funny. And it was like this mom putting on floaties on a small child to go in like whatever pool that was
Mhm.
there. And they put the floaties on and they just start like flapping their arms and they just started floating up into the sky.
That's good. That's smart
Yeah.
humor right there.
It was pretty funny.
Oh man. All right,
Well,
so
everybody,
that is going to wrap it up for
there you go.
episode 31 of Cup of Joe's this week. If you like what we do here on this podcast, make sure to follow on Podbean or subscribe here on YouTube as well. Of course, leave that comment down below. If you want to follow me on Twitter, that's at Zemanon. That's Xeminan. I also stream. Hopefully, I'm going to be streaming on Twitch, the same handle, Zemanon. A little bit of Spider-Man. We'll see what happens there. I might even get into speedrunning Spider-Man if it's fun enough, Joe. How about that?
Ooh, let's go watch Joe Brown speedrun Spider-Man.
That'd be cool. But yeah, that's going to do it for us. We will see you next week with our first impressions on Spider-Man and everything else that is going on in the gaming sphere. So for now, Joe Brown and Joe Perrion signing off, and we will see you on the next edition of Cup of Joe's.
Boop.